can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Welcome in, everybody. I'm Devon.
I'm Teri. How are you?
I'm good. I still haven't set up. I think I've enjoyed working at home so much. I need to set up my thing at home just, with my lights and stuff, just because I'm really liking working from home.
There you go. We'll set them up and let it rip.
So y'all just have me in the dark today. I'm not quite all put together, but I'm so glad to be here. It's been crazy. I got a new job and it's had a lot. It's been a little overwhelming, ain't gonna lie. Mainly not the job itself, but getting all the systems, because all corporate groups do things differently. And then you learn one system, then you go to a different system and it's like, I finally got the other one down, but it'll happen. I'll get it.
You get it. No sweat. You'll get it.
And it really made me think of it. I was talking about to several people this week who are undergoing issues of change, like they're, whether it be in a marriage or a business or whatever, they're dealing with quote unquote toxic people, or they've just had enough. And they have this moment of where they tell me what they're going to say to their boss or their significant other as they leave, and they march out and they have this big dramatic slamming of the door moment. I take this job and shove it, take this marriage and shove it, take this moment. And it made me think about scorched earth versus the gentle answer and leaving with grace. And I will tell you that there are so many people who have this moment of slamming the door and whatever, and they feel good for a nanosecond.
Yeah.
And then the reality hits in. And I want to talk about how to use grace in those situations, and why there's a scripture that I love, a gentle answer turns away wrath. And how do you leave and not have all that anger and all that stuff? The crowbar moment where you said, take this crowbar and
Are you digging into my book right now?
Well, I might be. I'm not. I wasn't going to use that because I didn't want to throw that out there until it's written. But it was tossed.
Well, it's on its way. It's well on its way.
Good. And I'm not giving away anything about your book until it's finished. That's why I didn't say any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think that having an ability to own your part in whatever the situation is paramount. I prefer, and I've told clients, I prefer focusing on what our part is rather than the poor pitiful me, what somebody else did, because that is, it doesn't get you anywhere. So being able to be in a space where if you're wanting to figure out how to come up with verbiage or language around what really resonates with you and how to leave a situation, I think it is paramount that you sit down and you get clear with yourself first. It's real easy to go to family and friends and all kinds of people and go, me. But that's really not the responsible way to handle it. If you truly are wanting to step out of a job, step out of a relationship, step out of a toxic friendship, step out of whatever, your habits that you're doing, step out of getting up in the morning and getting right on social media. If you're wanting to step out of anything that is not serving you anymore, or it is serving you in ways that are keeping you limited and stuck, then primary accountability is the first thing. First off, how does my life change or shift when I choose to step away from this? What am I gaining? What am I releasing? And then, are you really ready to release whatever it is? Because a lot of times people will say, and when we all know this, people will leave a job This job is horrible. These people are horrible. My boss is horrible. Da 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 da. And then they bounce into another job or another relationship or another friend group. And within 4 to 6 months, this is horrible. They don't hear me. Blah, 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 blah.
Truth.
So
Yes.
when you make a plan to exit, look at what you're bringing to the table. Okay, I want to leave this job and start another, or, take another position somewhere else. So what am I going to leave that's not serving me? And maybe it is the way you're interacting with people, or maybe, whatever it is. Once you take that inventory of what that is, own that, and then start your blueprinting process of how you're going to move from there. What are you willing to commit to doing differently?
We've got some people joining us. Michelle is on YouTube, and Corinne is in Buffalo, and Joyce is with us. Hello, Joyce. And Elizabeth is with us. And it occurred to me, I said, there's that, and I've watched people in my own family that shall go unnamed, that and it's not just leaving something. It's not that thing. It's like when you let yourself get so frustrated over certain situations that you throw a hissy fit.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't further your cause. It might feel good in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But when I have those moments where I completely just lose it, I don't feel better yelling and screaming and doing all that. And I always say that when you have those moments where you reduce yourself to that level, it negates your effectiveness of proving your point. It negates everything, because you become the crazy one. You become the person who can't control their anger. You become somebody who's literally kind of off their rocker. And I think before that cheese slides off the cracker, it's like you said, take your own personal inventory and don't let things go to that level before you say something, before you can say something in a gentle way.
Yeah. And also, well, sometimes you can say things in a gentle way, and sometimes you're dealing with people who don't hear gentleness. So you just have to know how to state things that work for you, and also how to be willing to, if you are engaging in a conversation in any capacity with the intention of proving a point, you're probably already off your rocker a little bit.
Teri, you hit one of my friends dead on. I now just listen and don't say anything. Excuse me.
That'll piss them off too. when they start and you're just like, because they either go and go and go, or then they go, well, anyway, what about the weather?
A lot of times they want to get a response out of you. Joyce shares, I've actually tried to find my faults too instead of others' faults. It's been kind of eye-opening. My husband said this morning, you're being so sweet. So kind of like killing them with kindness. Everybody's got different ways of doing it. My thing is, there's that idea of telling the truth in love. Sometimes I can't manage that. But I can tell the truth without losing my sanity. I can tell the truth without becoming crazy. And some of the things, and how to, and one of the tools that I have learned to do, instead of just blah, I might do that in the house, to a mirror, to whatever, and let it out that way. So I've done my crazy where nobody else can hear it but me. Number 2, I then write down what I really mean to say. Because when you're writing in your hand, I don't mean on the computer, I don't mean texting. I mean, when you write it down, you take the time to make the words, to look at it, and then you see it. And you don't add all the extra fluff. And sometimes that helps you center and get your real point across, instead of, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm hurt, I'm this, I'm scared. all of those emotions all wrapped up into the screaming ball can negate what you are. Because ultimately we want to communicate our thoughts. That's what we really want. We want to be heard, and we want to be listened to, and we want to be validated.
Right. So because we work from our logic most of the time, that's why we have people that will say, well, I know what I want to say, I just don't know how to say it. I know what I want to say, but I don't know how I feel about it. Or when I ask somebody, how are you feeling about this, or what's coming up for you, they'll say, I don't know. I don't know. And I tell people all the time, and I know they get sick of it, but I don't know is not an answer, because we do know. So
that's that Teri thing. That's that Teri thing that comes out, because when people say, I don't know, it means they don't want to tell you.
Or they just haven't stopped to think about it, but they do know. Like, people will say, I'll say, well, how's that making you feel? I don't know. And I know, because bookend to that, they've already told me. I already hear the frustrations. It's not like they've actually said, this is how I feel, but I've heard the frustrations. I hear what they're saying. And a lot of times people don't recognize what they're feeling. They're just being reactive. And being reactive doesn't get us anywhere. So the 4 pillars of understanding that concept is: 1, the willingness; 2, working from, I tell people it's like an iceberg. Like, if this is the water in the Atlantic, this is the top of the iceberg, this is the bottom of the iceberg. Our logic is always above the water. Our logic, our rational, our intellect, it's always up there. And so we try to problem solve everything from this place, which is great. You can talk yourself into understanding anything, but understanding it doesn't change the way that you feel about it. So you have to engage your emotional intelligence, which is it's the bigger part of the iceberg. And you have to engage your somatic intelligence, which is your body's reaction, the physiological way that your body responds. So when somebody says, I don't know, then let's get still a second and let's feel this. Like, I hear you saying XYZ. Where do you feel that in your body?
Oh, that's good.
Where's that coming up in your body, and what emotion is attached with it? Then you can align what your mouth is saying to where, it's the difference of somebody saying, I want to eat healthier. 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 I'm going to eat healthier. I'm going to eat healthier. But they're below, their bottom part of the iceberg is still dealing with, I don't feel good enough. I'm going to emotionally eat. I feel I'm overstressed. I'm going to emotionally eat. So what you do is, when you start feeling like you're getting stressed, check in with your body, settle the emotion. And then those two can travel with this one. But until then, you're going, yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a great idea. It's like 2 magnets when you turn them against however that is, when you turn them against one another, and they push up and then they slide away and push up and slide away until you get that alignment. You can want to be doing all kinds of stuff and leaving all kinds of situations, but just like a fart in a whirlwind, it'll circle right back around and smack you right upside the head again. So you've got to be willing to do the work.
That's true. Elizabeth says, I'm so over responding to drama. I love that I have a group of friends that drama isn't a part of. It goes on around us, but not between us. I love that. And that's what we can do. We can choose to jump into the whirlpool, or we can hang out in that peaceful place where the whirlpool doesn't touch us.
And if you're standing on the edge of that, if you're standing on the edge of that diving board, even considering jumping into that drama, I would say take a hard accountability with what you think you're getting out of that.
Because
What
as
are,
we know, you point out, we always get something out of our
yeah,
choices.
what are you getting out of that
Mhm.
drama?
Right. Right. And that it could be just the adrenaline rush, you know.
Absolutely.
Nancy says Mama said kill him with kindness. And that is certainly I've heard that as well. We all have, and that's it, and that does work in a lot of those situations. But I'm talking about if you are really in conflict,
Mm-hmm.
I don't mean make up a kindness. I don't mean passive aggressive. I don't mean passive kindness. I mean be honest without going scorched earth. There's a
Right.
way to do something without having a screaming fit, without saying things that are hurtful.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you can just say no. I've had to turn people down for things that they've asked me to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as and I am learning to do that more and more. I'm still not great at it. I'll be honest with you. And I mean, I just had this week, and I talked to you very frankly. It's like I am so overwhelmed. I don't know what to do, and I just
Mm-hmm.
had to have a day where I just literally cut the ties.
Right.
My phone was my TV, and it was nothing else. I said I am not going to listen. I can't. I'm just, whoo. I'm full. I need to rest.
Right. Right.
And sometimes we have to give ourselves the chance to just be honest, be be kindly honest, be Elizabeth shares, I always have to find my role in a situation. We all play a role whether we know what it is or not, and that's true.
And here's the part to that: when we play a role, whether we know what it is or not, you got to be real careful to discern for yourself what that role is, and don't let somebody else tell you what your role is.
Oh, that's good too. That's good.
Because
Y'all write that down. Don't let somebody tell you what your role is.
people are real quick in conflict to tell you, you make me, this is your fault, you've done this, people are real quick to tell you what you've done, but you have to get clear in your head space about what your role is. And if you have been an instigator, own it. You don't get anywhere with not owning it. You have to own it. And if you haven't, then that's that part where when we're trying to kill them with kindness, that's that part you got to be careful, because then it turns you into a little bit of a fixer and a people pleaser. And
Yeah, and that's not what I'm
and
talking about in this.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Lewis says, yes, I'm very quick to tell us who we are and what our role is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to being the people pleaser is what got us all into a lot of trouble, at one time in our life or other. It's not up to us to please somebody, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, when you are thinking about making a change, or when you are so frustrated you're about to lose it, find a way, like you said, to go inside, to deal with your own self, to deal with your anger. Take a freaking boxing class. Do something to get rid of that energy that's all up in there before you force all that stuff that person doesn't have anything to do with. They might be a catalyst for something, but 9 times out of 10, if we have a lot of it starts in here.
Right. And that energy that you're talking about is when we talk about the somatic stuff. It's that
Yes,
movement. It's
I love
getting that movement out. If you don't have a boxing class, or you don't have, I have people before, I'm like, well, what can you do to work through this? Well, I don't know. Well, what about walking? Well, I don't like to walk. Well, what about the, well, I don't like her. Well, what about the, well, what about what? And I can sit there and what about, have you thought, have you considered all day long? The bottom line is, when we ratchet it all the way back to, what about putting on some favorite music, whatever your favorite music is it 80s music, is it 50s music, is it rap music? What is your favorite genre? Is it country? Whatever your favorite genre of music is, and then dancing to it for 4 minutes. 2 songs, 4 minutes or 8 minutes, depending on how you do it. When you go all the way back to that, and then somebody's still like, well, I don't know, then my answer or my statement to them is you're not ready. Because if we've given you everything, every option that is on the table, the basic options, then you're not ready for the level 2.0 options yet, because you're not willing to commit to the basic level 101.
Right. Corinne says, I used to take my hatchet and chop down tree branches. That's excellent. You know, plus it gets you outside.
It's productive.
Joy says, my husband say you this and you that every day. You can't park good. You can't do this. You didn't do that. Okay. If you're dealing with a hypercritical person, that's 9 times out of 10. Well, we all know that's coming from them. You know, and they keep us down in that situation. We're either honest about it or we're not.
Right.
You know, and the truth is, if you're with someone like that, and Teri, I have been there. It's like, well, what are you getting out of it? If you're with someone who's doing something that is so distasteful every single day, and you stay, that's your choice.
And there's a difference in being in a relationship with someone where they are abusive and you're afraid to leave, versus being in a relationship with someone who just the patterning and the communication has just become so negative. It's devolved to where one minute they say, you're so sweet. The next minute they say, you can't do anything right. You know, I mean, you know, we all have that snarky part of us that when somebody's standing in front of you going, you don't do this good, and you don't do that good, and you don't do this good, and you don't do that good. What you want to do is look at them and go, and clearly I don't pick a partner good either. But we don't say that because we're being nice. So that's where we check in with ourselves and we go, how about you are not allowed to talk to me like that? Because there's consequences to that. This conversation doesn't work for me. And if you have something productive to say, then say that. Let's talk. If there's really an issue with my parking, then let's discuss that. But don't weaponize everything to make me the villain all the time, because it's ridiculous. And it's a horrible way to have to exist.
Yeah, hypercritical people are usually they usually just they have something wrong within them, and they're trying to focus their criticism out so they don't focus it on themselves. And you cannot out kind that. You can't out nice that. You can't do that. And you can say, look, you know, I know you find some things wrong with what I do, but this is the way I do it. And I'm sorry if you find a problem with that. Would you, of course, me, it's like, I can very gently and very truthfully go through. It's like, would you like to go an inventory of yours? The things that I don't like that you do. And that's a very difficult place. It's like, but you get to that place. It's very honest to say, all right, if we would like to do inventories here of things we don't like about each other, we can do that.
Or we can problem solve and learn to communicate in a healthier way so that we're not tearing each other down, or you're not just hitting me constantly, you know, with just stuff that doesn't feel loving.
Elizabeth says, I got to say, my 12-step program has taught me so much about myself and my life. And you're right. That is very good, because we in a 12-step will take personal inventory. And that comes before taking somebody else's inventory. As a matter of fact, when you take your own inventory, you end up not having to take anybody else's inventory, because so you work so hard on your own inventory that everything else kind of works itself out. Joyce says, I told him when I was alone, it's funny, I parked all day long without fussing at me.
There you go. You know.
And Shar says, hello, ladies. We love to have you there. We're talking about being truthful and stuff. And this is not always, and I'm not talking about leaving necessarily. I'm talking about when we have frustrations that build up within us, and how not to let those frustrations build up within us. And sometimes we go scorched earth on someone who is not the issue, because we can't talk to our spouse or our boss, we might take it out on a really good friend. And we do that because we know that really good friend will listen, will not leave, and will love us no matter what. But here's the deal. You start messing with your unconditional love friends and family members, they're going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
They will love you, but they will pull away. And I had this conversation this week. I had a dear friend, and she says, I just can't handle all the negativity anymore. I'm not the problem, but they make me the problem because they won't face the problem that's real.
Right. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people are carrying around, attached to these invisible shackles from their family histories, their relationship histories. And what they do is they project that onto current people. And, whether that's relationship, whether it's, partnership, whether it's husband, wife, whether it's best friend, work environment, whatever, they project these things onto these other people. And then nothing will do until they have convinced themselves and sometimes that other person that they are in fact the problem. And that's a sad, sad thing. I've had that happen in my own personal life before. And, that's a sad thing when a relationship devolves to that level, or any friendship or anything devolves to that level, because there's nothing that you can do. There's nothing you can do to change another person's mind if they are believing a false truth inside their own head about histrionic trauma that they've never worked through. And that's one of the saddest things ever that I've ever seen happen to human beings. And not only have I experienced that in my personal life, I have experienced it in my own growing up and having to deal with my own stuff. And I experience it, vicariously through the clients that I work with. And that is I'm not a fan of best and worst, but for sake of trying to dig out of my brain another word, one of the best things about, the word healing, when people are going on this journey of self-discovery, is that they get to a place where they can love someone, they can love a friend, they can love a partner, they can love a job, and they can also see that despite everything, even when you've played the ugly card yourself, despite everything, you need to step away. And choosing to love yourself over a situation that is toxic or unhealthy is, in the moment, can feel gut-wrenching. You can leave a job that you absolutely love, but you just can't be there anymore because there's just no respect. You can leave a relationship, same thing. You can leave a friendship, same thing. You can step away from family members the same way. Stepping away from family members is a little more tricky because there are those obligations. There is a family tie there that most people can't just sever and walk away. But you don't ever escape those situations or those relationships without doing an inventory of the role you played. And, when you can, you make amends. And when you can't, you just respect that situation is where it is for now. And it's going to be there. You may have friends that you've worked with that you just adore, but because you're not working there anymore, you don't see them anymore and they've kind of chosen a side. Or you may have family members, or, if you've left a relationship, you've got that other person's family, and in a lot of cases, you can still stay in touch with them and you're still good. And then some cases, you're not. It's really about personal inventory, and also knowing that every one of us is accountable for stirring the shit pot at one point or another.
Exactly.
But if you are a chronic shit pot stirrer, you know what I think about those people, right, Devon? There's a spoon and it needs to be cleaned, and they should be forced to clean it. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Shar says, this is why I'm on vacation in Florida, away from my honey. I miss him, but if I stayed all winter locked up in the cold, we wouldn't make it. It makes us stronger because he gets a chance to realize how much I do. And I probably venture to say, you probably get to see how much he does.
Mm-hmm. There's a level of appreciation that can transpire there.
You know, and people need to know that we have our own ways of doing things, and having those, and Char says, yep. Elizabeth says, choosing to live a life where I'm honest with myself and others, and where I wake up and choose gratitude every morning has changed a lot about how I react and interact with others. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And it is true. Waking up in your gratitude, earlier today, Elizabeth and I were talking, those, well, I'm grateful, but Char said, I so much appreciate my honey. I know you do. I know you do. And I was just saying that it's like having those moments to breathe in our relationships, whether it be working or a personal relationship, a love relationship, friendship, having those places to breathe is okay. And it gives you a chance to take stock. And if you are that frustrated, find a way to talk about it. Find a way to talk about it. Elizabeth says, I think a but negates everything I just said. And it does.
It does. Yeah. When people say, but it's like the brain hears that word as like, okay, so everything I just said, etch a sketch that. And then let's just start with all the things that we can't do now. That are challenging now.
I love them, but
I always tell people work in the and still yet.
Oh, that's good. Let's close our show with that. And still yet.
I love them, and sometimes they drive me crazy. I love them, and sometimes we don't communicate effectively.
That changes everything. That changes everything. And I want to encourage you all, when you are feeling the need to explode, find a way to channel that energy and work through.
Yes. When you feel the need to explode somatically, look where it's coming from in your body, name the emotion that is attached to it, frustration, anger, sadness, whatever it is, and then work through that first before you projectile out on everyone else. And that's going to take some practice. Sometimes it's going to take being at the end of your rope and just walking out of the room. But if you don't start practicing it, autopilot will always fly the plane. If you don't start practicing, autopilot will forever say, I got this. I know you say you really want to work on this, but let's just do autopilot. And autopilot will, unless you have some really good, healthy behaviors and go-tos, autopilot will make a point of taking your toolbox that you use to get through situations and sneeze that all over 10 acres. And then you won't be able to get to anything to regulate yourself and to maybe for the first time be proud of yourself in a long time for choosing to do something different and choosing to change a pattern that is for the healthy instead of staying in the unhealthy.
I love it. I love it. Well, I hope you guys have gotten something from today. I know that I did. Nanette just joined us. I think I'm going to blow up, LL. I love that. Joy says, you girls are the bomb. Thankful for y'all. We're thankful for you guys and glad that you joined us today. Turning it over to you, Teri Pugh.
Well, I'm going to close out real quick. Well, one little shameless plug here. Next Monday night, 6:30 is the first of our once a month meetings that we're doing with wise women and sage sisters. And to break that down, it basically falls in the category, if you're perimenopause or menopause, and you fall in that category where you feel like in life, we're just sort of, there's a certain age group of women that no matter how vibrant we are, society sort of overlooks. And we find ourselves trying to balance aging and also the little voices in our heads while we're working, raising families, doing all that stuff. And so I'm going to be facilitating a once a month group for women in that category. There's no charge to it. If you're interested in it, leave your email somewhere below or message me on my page or Devon's page. Just get an email to me one way or the other. It starts next week. I'll send you out a Zoom link, and it's a recurring Zoom link. And right now, I think we've got like 26 women signed up. So, and it's not you have to be there every month. You pop in, and if you like it, great, stay. And if you don't, well, go away. It doesn't, we're not attached to it. It's really, there's been a need for it, and it fits in my schedule to do it now. So I'm doing it.
And while we are a very public forum here, we will be a very private forum there. So that's 100%. The difference. And that's what we're doing at a different format, because we could do all those same things and say all those things, but we want you guys to feel free and not have your stuff all over the internet.
Absolutely. And this, and also, like, I've had people reach out to me and say, well, I want to send this to my friend and I'm going to tell them about it. And I'm like, direct them to me so that, and it's not that I'm a control freak, but I do want to know how many people we have in the group. I'm not interested in getting 5,000 people in this group. I want it to stay. The intention is for it to be intimate, for it to be where people can share, and where people feel, I know we've overused the word safe space, but it truly is a space of sage women, and it's a place of integrity, and women can come and share and be like, oh, these, my husband is, how can I work on this, or these hot flashes, and what do I know about this? And it's not a place to bitch and moan and groan. That's not what we're doing. Do that at the local 7-Eleven on the corner or whatever. It's really a place where we're going to come together and support.
Yeah.
And so if you're interested in doing that, you can go to teripugh.com. You can either text me, email me, message me, just get me your email and I'll send you a link out. And other than that, I guess we're putting a pin in this balloon, or what is that? Put a cap on it, put a pin in it, put a bow on it. That's it. Put a bow on it. I couldn't think of it. I was like, I don't know what it is, but we're putting something on it.
Oh my goodness. Well, everybody is just saying thank you and all that good stuff. Well,
as always, we appreciate you choosing to spend your time with us wherever you are in the world at the 12 o'clock hour on Wednesdays. And until we see you next Wednesday, y'all know what we're going to say. Increase
the peace.